Hello, and welcome back to another episode for the Project Seed Money podcast. I am your host, Sharissa Bradley, and I'm so excited to be joined today with Tamian Wood, book designer. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for spending a little time with me today.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Let's just jump right in, and I want to ask, what got you into being a book designer?
That's a good question. I got laid off from a company that got downsized. And so unemployment paid me to go back to school to get my second degree in graphic design. I had been doing graphic design for probably about 5 years prior to that, but it was kind of like I didn't know what I didn't know. So
Yeah.
I wanted to have the credentials to say, I know what I'm doing. And
Oh, that's
so, yeah. And then when I finished my degree, my husband was like, well, you're good at this, just do it, you know? And so I did all kinds of stuff like I designed a museum once and billboards and like large format stuff and, brochures and letterhead and logos and all that kind of stuff. But then when the self-publishing kind of thing kind of took off, I decided I just really liked doing books. They're so much fun, so creative. And then every job is different. So it's really
yeah.
fun.
And I wonder if you found that you enjoy the clientele too, because I just love the author community so much. I just wonder, like, is that something that you're experiencing too? Like, the clients are just awesome.
I do. I love my clients. They're all awesome.
Yes. I love this industry. It's like the most welcoming and collaborative. Even before we got on this call, you were sharing about the collaboration that's even getting us to this point in doing the interview together. And I think that that is just the neatest part of this specific industry is how well everyone kind of works together to do it.
Right.
So, if I'm coming to you as a client, I would love to just talk a little bit about the onboarding process. Like, what does that look like for me as far as once I have a manuscript in hand, how soon should I be like thinking to reach out to you? And how long should I think to plan to be able to get on your calendar? Things of that nature.
Uh-huh. Well, I always tell authors as soon as you're solid on your title, that's when you need to start looking at your book cover design because if you're solid on your title, then you can start marketing if you have something to market. And so, let's say you're maybe still 6 months out from being able to publish because you're still doing formatting or this, that, and the other thing, editing, all the important stuff. You can still be marketing because you have a visual for it. So I would
Oh,
say as soon as you're solid on your title, go for it.
right.
What was the rest of it you wanted to ask
So
me?
then next I was wondering, like, so now we know, okay, we've got the title, so now we can come and reach out to you. I wonder next, what is that timeline like? Like once I reach out to you and have that maybe like initial conversation about it, how long should I plan to work with you as far as getting that cover done to the point where I would have completed files, like ready to publish, things like that? Like how long should I plan on that, on working together?
Well, in my agreement, I spell out that I have 15 days, 15 business days. It generally doesn't take me that long, especially for a cover, but it's kind of got a little bit of a buffer in there in case I happen to have, several projects in house at any given time. But yeah, and then for an interior, it still says 15 days, but that probably takes a little bit longer depending on the complexity of the interior. So it's a little squishy.
Okay, well, that's fair. So they should definitely at least plan for, at the very minimum, 3 weeks before they're getting files returned to them. And that can help them plan because if they have a book goal or a launch date, it is
Right.
important to kind of know like when on their calendar they should be planning for this.
Exactly.
So then next I wonder what questions should they come prepared to ask you?
That is a good question. And I have in my little freebie that I'm going to have a link for you. Uh, let me see. Let me bring it up really quick. I have, I think, 6 or 7 questions that not just to ask me, but to ask any designer to find out, do they know what they're talking about? You know?
Yes.
And I explain in there like things like bleed. It's not necessarily anything that the author really needs to know, but they need to know that their designer knows. And so what I did in this little freebie is I talk about these particular jargony things like bleed and shift on press and so on and so forth. And I put in there the explanation of what that is. What is bleed? And then a question and an answer to say, this is how you would ask that question. How much bleed do you add to your images? And then the answer, so you know if they got it right, most printers will require at least 0.125, which is an eighth of an inch bleed. And if they know the answer to that, you know that they know what they're talking about. And I have like 6 questions. One about, I'm just looking it over here, shift on press, DPI or PPI, which is really important to know, especially if you're, supplying images. The color space that you use, CMYK or RGB, and I explain all that. So it's not, jargony. Image licenses, it's very important to make sure that who you're working with has licenses to the images that you're going to use, because you can get in trouble if not. Also, let's see, font licenses. Yeah, I think that's about it. And some definite no-nos as to what fonts not to use. So there's lots of good information in there.
That is such a helpful tool, and I do have that link, so I will be providing it in the description. And you kind of did touch on it. Like if they don't know the answers to these questions, then obviously run. But I wonder
Right.
specifically in the design industry, are there any kind of red flags that are like across the board? If they hear this answer or they hear this response, they should just keep going with looking for other designers.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I don't know specifically for cover designers, but like I said, if they don't know the answers to those questions, then obviously that's a red flag. But one thing I thought about the industry in general is that like there's so many scammers out there, and I feel so sad for people. Like I had a client came to me and I was doing his cover, and he said Amazon was going to publish him for like $10,000. And he was excited about this. And I'm like, no, it doesn't cost anything to publish on Amazon. That's a scam. And I saved him $10,000 because he was going to file for it, So I
Oh,
find that, like scams, but I think the red flag for me is if somebody is looking for you, that's a red flag, because traditional publishers are not going to go seeking people out. You have an agent, and that's the way it works. And if it's a hybrid, still, again, very unlikely that they're going to seek you out. You can contact them. So if somebody is seeking you out saying, I'll publish this for you, or I'll, market this for you, it's probably a scam. Oh, and then the other thing I was looking at, let's see if I can find it here. There's a website called Writer Beware. There's lots of good information on there about scammers. And also the Alliance of Independent Authors had a watchdog desk where they monitor the publishing industry and alert authors to predatory services. But I looked that up today and it's blank. So I don't know if they got sued over something, or if maybe they're just updating it. I don't know. But that was a really good resource. People like, no, beware.
yeah, they're getting more and more realistic looking, the scams are. So I think that's such good advice. If they are reaching out to you as a publisher, I've never one time reached out to somebody and said, I want to publish. Not ever one time in 5 years. So
Yeah.
that's really good advice. If someone's looking, it's not real. So I love that. I appreciate you for saying that, because I think that this is what I'm really trying to help people avoid is finding real people, interviewing real people who really want to support women in the industry, and all authors, right? And to help to avoid those scams. So this is a real person, real interview, no AI, right? Like this is the right thing here. Do you specifically work on any specific genres, or are you open to I see some like more children's book pictures in the background, or picture books. What types of genres do you cover?
Hang on just a second, and I've got some other backgrounds. I was going to ask you that right before we started. Which
I
one
love
you
it.
wanted to use? So Hang on one second. Adjust background effects. That just always takes me a few minutes to figure out. So I do actually deal with a bunch of different genres. Here's historical fiction, and this one is YA,
Ooh, love.
and this one is fantasy. And I have sci-fi. I laughingly call this guy PG Naked Guy.
Yes.
And then we saw the children's books. I
Yes.
also do nonfiction. This is my most client right there. I like to brag about that. Let me see. I think I have some more. So I work on cookbooks. I also do interiors as well.
Yes. Oh, we had Amy Toro Lopez here on the show, and
Oh,
you
did
designed
you?
her cover, and she shows the book and the full extent of the cover and thanks you in the interview. Like, so this
Oh,
is,
that's so nice.
oh,
I'll
yes,
have-
this is very full circle.
She was a doll to work with. I loved working with her. That's so fun. I'm glad you told me that. I'll have to watch for that episode.
Yes.
So this is a series of romance, obviously. And then I have this series of cozy mystery, kind of cozy murders. So I always like to say that I probably wouldn't do very well with a monster truck rally book. But other than that, I'm generally pretty open.
Yes, I can see from the wide range of covers. If you're listening to this instead of watching it, then I definitely recommend go and watch this part of the YouTube video just so you can see the wide range. So it sounds like you're open to taking on clients from almost every single genre, maybe not monster trucks, but I've never actually read a monster truck book, so I'm not sure if there's a huge market for that.
Me neither. But I have been to a monster truck rally and it was fun.
Oh, then maybe there is a market for it. There's enough people for it. So I guess I just have one more question with regards to your process. So what does it look like for me to get on your schedule? Do you do a boarding call? Do you offer some sort of like how do we get started?
Well, I would say like 98% of my communications is through email. I very rarely ever see any of my clients, although now with Zoom, that's, becoming a little bit more. People want to talk on Zoom, which is kind of fun. I like it. And then I can show off my stuff and everything. But usually they'll reach out via email, and then that's mostly how it happens. But I'm open to, talking on the phone for a short little interview if that's needed, or a Zoom call is fine too. Although it's kind of funny, I had a Zoom call with this one guy and he was shirtless, and I'm like, really? Is that necessary?
No, no, we can't lose our professionalism.
That was hilarious. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I'm open to lots of stuff, but mostly it happens through email.
Perfect. And for our audience that's just listening and can't see the screen, can you tell them where they can find you and your website, things like that?
Sure, it's Tamian at Beyond Design Books. Beyond Design Books is my company, and it's beyonddesignbooks.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I don't do much with what used to be Twitter. I have a Instagram as well, and most of it is some variation of my name, Tamian Wood.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure to easily have all those links, including the link to the resource that you mentioned as well. I just have one last question, and that is if you have any inspiration for my audience, they're female authors, they're sitting on the fence, and they just need some encouragement to keep on going.
I do. Actually, I wrote this one down so I got it right. Progress over perfection. A messy page can be edited, a blank page cannot. And so I say, stick with it and keep showing up. The world needs to hear your stories, even if they don't know it yet.
That is such great advice, Tammy.
got
Thank you so
goosebumps.
much. Thank you so much for being with me and for spending a little time and sharing your wisdom with my audience. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it too.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week. Bye.